Welcome to tonight's 5 on 5. The guest is Steve Schein, a former CPA, entrepreneur, and president of several companies, and now currently on the faculty at the SOU Business School. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Tell me a little about your area of expertise in business.
I study organizational leadership, strategic management, business ethics, and corporate sustainability.
Things that are in the news quite a bit these days.
It's kind of relevant out there.
Subject right now, define civility and business. It's a topic people are talking about.
Sure. So when I use the word civility, Joe, I like to think about corporate social responsibility, business ethics, sustainability, and break down really environmental and social responsibility. And then further, you can break it down really between external civility out there in the communities where companies operate, and then internally with their employees.
I'm sure these days you have a lot to talk about, especially with your students, with so much going on. How much have you been diving into the recent stuff and really what stands out to you?
You know, it's really great. Teaching business ethics, each class we cover, all I need to do is walk into the room with the newspaper, and it's in the news every day. And so whether it's CEO pay or taxation, unfortunately politics often is what we need to cover. The Occupy movement in the fall was very interesting as relates to what it was saying about society. So it's a great time to study business and teach business, and it's very engaging, I think, with the students.
How about this Occupy movement? From a business perspective, what are you seeing?
Sure. You know, I guess from my standpoint, Joe, the Occupy movement has brought to the fore income inequality and issues like CEO pay and taxation. You know, looking at the income tax rate in 1960, the year I was born, was 91%. In 1980, the year Ronald Reagan took office, the income tax rate was 63%. Now, and really since the late 80s, it's been in the low 30s. It was 31%. And it's good. I always try to encourage everyone to have the data, you know, and really think about what are the facts and how did society work when the tax rates were at those levels. And then CEO pay is an equally astonishing kind of change. Since the 80s, CEO pay has gone up, you know, to the point now where it's 500 or 600 times the average worker's pay. And in the 80s, you know, it was maybe 40 times the average worker's pay. So it's gone up more than tenfold. And I think it's important to kind of see that in perspective in just a few decades, how much things have changed. So those are some of the kind of things we talk about in business ethics and sustainability.
I have a few more questions for you, so stick around. More 5 on 5 right after the break. Welcome back to the 5 on 5. The guest is Steve Schein, a businessman all his life and now a member of the SOU business faculty. Thank you very much for joining me. We were talking about the classroom and teaching. How are you helping younger students today going out into a business world that's pretty tough? There's a lot of negativity. How do you help them grow and see the positives?
Sure. So on one level, we teach a lot of entrepreneurship and all the basic skills around finance and accounting and marketing and computer science that an entrepreneur needs. In terms of civility, and tomorrow night our talk at SOU about civility, what I try to research and study is a lot of the ways that the corporate world is changing. And it's not widely reported in the media how most of the world's multinationals now are dramatically changing the way they design their products, the way they distribute their products. They report on a wide variety of new measurements. We have things like supply chain transparency and a lot more awareness now in terms of the social and environmental impacts of companies from Walmart to Coca-Cola to Nike to Starbucks. So we look, for instance, in case studies on corporate sustainability, we look at about 30 multinationals, Starbucks, Nike, Mattel, and we look at all the new measurements and the new ways that companies are integrating this new information about social and environmental responsibility.
Do you think with going forward that we're going to be able to avoid some of the mistakes these young businessmen that got us into the trouble we are in now?
I hope so. I think that this is one of the more positive stories. It's so easy to be very cynical with what's happening, you know, in the greater political world. And the one point I'd like to make is all corporations aren't the same. We tend to kind of lump together all the banks, all the oil companies, all the defense contractors, and all the consumer products companies. And I think if you start to break them out a little bit, you can start to see some of the positive things that are happening with some of the world's biggest companies like Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Nike, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, and so on. I'll also say they're also collaborating with environmental activism organizations very significantly now, much more so than they ever have.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much for the
Thanks,
information.
Joe.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. That's it for the 5 on 5. More news right after the break.